A traditional aircraft carrier strike group projects naval power through scale. It relies on thousands of sailors and tons of steel to function. But maritime deterrence is shifting toward a much smaller, distributed profile. Navies are increasingly deploying uncrewed surface vessels, USVs, to swarm strategic ocean choke points. Iran pioneered this tactical shift by using explosive drone boats, disguised as ordinary fishing vessels, to strike oil tankers in the narrow Strait of Hormuz. To counter this, the United States Fifth Fleet established Task Force 59, integrating autonomous patrol craft to maintain persistent surveillance across these waters. Removing humans from the hull eliminates onboard personnel risk and life support costs, shifting naval tactics towards sensor-dense drone networks. This crewless deployment triggers a crisis in maritime law. The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, governs maritime operations. Article 29 defines a warship as a vessel under the command of a commissioned officer and manned by a crew. Sovereign immunity only attaches to vessels meeting this strict definition, legally classifying the ship as an untouchable extension of the state. To a foreign navy, this drone is abandoned commercial property floating in the ocean, open to legal inspection, boarding, or seizure. Navies must establish a functionalist legal doctrine to project sovereign authority onto these autonomous platforms. The hardware reality of modern USVs, like the Global Autonomous Reconnaissance Craft, is designed for endurance. These vessels operate for months at a time, without the logistical constraints of human-piloted ships. A sensor architecture replaces the traditional watchstander. Radar, sonar, and electro-optical data funnel into an onboard processing core. This data stream allows for autonomous navigation and immediate threat detection without human eyes. A satellite link beams this processed intelligence back to a remote command center. Multiple USVs share data through mesh networks to maintain persistent surveillance webs over large areas. While this sensor network expands the reach of maritime surveillance, the technology enabling that coverage creates the legal problem of an empty deck. We return to the UNCLOS paradox. How does an empty deck satisfy the requirement of a disciplined crew? The solution is a functionalist interpretation of the law. This view defines command by authority and accountability rather than physical presence. The encrypted link tethers the drone to a commissioned officer stationed ashore. Digital accountability updates the law for the age of satellite control, fulfilling the original intent of the convention. Algorithmic risk assessment fulfills the duty of good seamanship, executing the safe navigation outcomes previously expected of a human lookout. Under this doctrine, a USV remains sovereign property, protected from salvage claims. Sovereign immunity acts as an invisible armor, protecting the drone from foreign interference through the unbroken digital chain of state authority and command. In active combat, vessels move under international humanitarian law. Operators must maintain meaningful human control to ensure distinction and proportionality during an attack. The ICRC framework for control spans 3 stages: development, activation, and operation. Development involves testing the algorithm's predictability in real-world environments. Unpredictable algorithms violate the law before the vessel leaves the pier. During activation, the commander sets specific target profiles and geographic limits. In the operation phase, drones navigate autonomously while humans retain the communication link to abort the mission. Compliance relies on engineering predictable constraints to govern autonomous decisions. In 1968, North Korea seized the USS Pueblo. The capture of the crew created a massive hostage crisis. In an autonomous Pueblo scenario, an adversary intercepts a U.S. drone boat. They may claim the lack of a crew voids the vessel's sovereign immunity. Functionalist doctrine holds that the vessel's commission status remains regardless of crewing. While human lives are not at risk, the primary threat is the capture of classified AI models and cryptographic keys. The Navy signals sovereign status by commissioning and flagging these vessels like traditional ships. Accountability leads back to the Pentagon, invalidating foreign claims to the hardware. Adversaries exploiting textual ambiguities in UNCLOS could legally dismantle and blind the autonomous surveillance webs protecting these vital choke points. The defining feature of a modern warship is the digital and legal tether anchoring its autonomous actions to human intent.